The sheriff's deputy had his hand on his holster, 3 patrol cars boxing in my old kayak right in the middle of the lake. "Sir, you need to paddle to shore immediately. We've received reports of criminal trespassing on HOA property." Yeah, that happened. I just sat there, water dripping from my paddle, watching Cordelia Blackthorne on the shore with her designer megaphone, her perfect silver hair catching the morning sun. Behind her, a crowd of neighbors gathered like it was a gladiator match, phones up, waiting to record my humiliation. I tried to keep my voice steady, even though adrenaline was buzzing in my chest. "Officer, before you go any further, I need you to contact Coast Guard District 9. This is a federally designated waterway, and what Mrs. Blackthorne has built." I pointed at her fancy new jet ski dock, sticking out into the lake like a sore thumb, "constitutes an illegal obstruction under Title 33 of the United States Code." The deputy's hand slipped off his weapon. Even from out there, I could see Cordelia's smile drop. She hadn't expected me to know about the federal designation, let alone throw maritime law back at her, floating in what she'd been calling her lake for 3 years. "That's impossible," Cordelia shouted through the megaphone, voice getting brittle. "This is private HOA property. We've been managing this water sports facility since 2020. Thing is, I had something she didn't. A piece of American history from 1887 that was about to destroy her $300,000 little empire. If you've ever had someone try to steal your property while calling 911 on you, you know how wild things can get. 72 hours earlier, I was just a guy looking for somewhere to disappear. Name's Thaddeus Knox, 38, former EPA water quality inspector, whistleblower, with a $2.3 million settlement check and more than a few enemies who wanted me gone. Death threats, cars following me home in Virginia, anonymous 3 a.m. calls. My lawyer told me, disappear. Take the money, find somewhere off the map, let this blow over. So I started hunting real estate listings in the middle of nowhere. That's how I landed on a listing for an abandoned recreational lake in remote Michigan. 40 acres of forest, all water rights, underground springs. The price? $450,000. The photos showed a rundown summer camp from the 50s. Probate sale, fast cash only. Everyone involved just wanted it gone. I met the agent, Dorothy Fitzgerald, on a foggy morning. She kept glancing at her phone. "Full disclosure," she muttered as her heels sank in the mud. "There have been some complications with the neighboring HOA. They've been using the lake for their activities. I'm sure you'll work it out." That should have been a red flag, but I was too focused on the water, noticing the spring bubbling up through limestone, the makeshift docks, the empty beer cans. But what really caught my eye was a concrete post with a faded Coast Guard seal. Took a picture. Figured I'd research it later. The property's history was a parade of absentee owners. Old summer camp from the 50s to the 70s, then ignored by a Florida retiree until he died. The estate sale was simple. No heirs, no drama, for $150,000 cash. I took it. Dorothy blinked at my speed. "You sure you don't want to think about it? Maybe have it inspected?" I smiled. "I know water, Mrs. Fitzgerald. This lake has good bones." 3 days later, I was the proud owner of 40 acres and a spring-fed lake nobody had touched in decades. First thing I did, install security cameras. Second, start cleaning up the shoreline. That's when I found 5 more of those Coast Guard posts. That night, I dug into maritime records. Turns out, Timber Float Station 7 was a federal waterway from 1887, part of the lumber industry's transport network. The designation was never removed. Under the Rivers and Harbors Act, Section 401, any structure built here needed Army Corps permits. Any obstruction? Federal crime, $25,000 a day fine, possible jail time. The next night, engines shattered my research. Not cars, boats. 5 jet skis and a pontoon boat, headlights slicing the dark, laughter echoing over the water. I started recording. 9:47 p.m., clear proof of trespassing and unauthorized use of federal waters. The party lasted 2 hours. The next morning, 3 Mercedes SUVs rolled up to the eastern shore, right by the makeshift docks. Cordelia Blackthorne herself stepped out in designer athleisure, flanked by 2 board members with clipboards and tablets. I walked down, hands visible. Cordelia spotted me and forced a smile. "Can I help you?" she called, voice tight as piano wire. "Good morning. I'm Thaddeus Knox, new owner of this property. Noticed the jet skis last night. Figured we should talk. She tried to laugh it off. This is Blackthorn Estates Recreation Area. We've managed and maintained it since 2020. I have the deed right here on my phone. Interesting. Any documentation for your adverse possession claim? Permits for those docks? Environmental assessments? The vice president, Beatrice Winters, piped up. All our paperwork is filed with the authorities. This lake is a community amenity in our charter. I just nodded. Which authorities? Because the county has no record of an HOA claim. And those docks, built after 2020, right? Any Army Corps permits? Silence. Beatrice's face paled. Cordelia, losing her grip, started shrieking about private property and beneficial use. I told them, Federal Waterway from 1887. Structures need permits. Any commercial operations, like your water sports logo there, need licensing and environmental review. You did know that, right? A whisper from the clipboard woman. Cordelia, he might be right. I told them, get the vehicles and jet skis off my property. Doc's gone in 30 days, or I'd be calling federal authorities. Cordelia's confidence finally cracked. You can't do this. We have contracts, summer programs, children's swimming lessons. My husband's company built those docks. Your husband built unpermitted structures on federal water. That's a federal crime, ma'am. Cordelia fumbled for her phone, screaming about harassment. Call your attorney, I said. Just make sure they know maritime law. Beatrice looked shaken. We'll discuss this at an emergency board meeting. Tonight, 7 p.m. And you're not invited. Actually, as the property owner, I am. Back at the camp, I started digging into Cordelia's construction company. Turns out, Nathaniel Blackthorn had a history, permit violations, lawsuits, and a cousin at the Michigan Department of Environmental Quality who got suspended for improper permits. Blackthorn Watersports had a slick website, booking system, $75 per hour jet skis, $200 pontoon boat rentals, $500 per day exclusive packages, pulling in at least $8,000 a month. Over 3 years, that's $300,000 on my lake, with no permits, no insurance. Then I got a text from Augustus Vale, an older HOA board member. Heard about this morning. Most of us had no idea about federal designation. Can we talk? We met at the old pier. Augustus, a retired accountant, explained that Cordelia had seized power during COVID, changed the bylaws, started the water sports operation, and kept board members in the dark about the money. He agreed to testify if this went to authorities. That night's emergency meeting was wild. Cordelia tried to bar me, but I walked in, khakis and a polo, all documentation in hand. The room packed with residents, board members, even Cordelia's husband in his company polo. I laid out the federal designation, showed the website, revealed the $8,000 per month revenue. Residents started demanding to see the books. People who'd paid special assessments for maintenance wanted to know where the money went. Cordelia shrieked, tried to regain control, but Nathaniel blurted, "We tried to buy it." The lawyer's face went pale. Trying to buy destroys any adverse possession claim. More residents stood up, one a forensic accountant, volunteering to audit the books. The room turned against Cordelia. Augustus moved to suspend her as president. Others demanded an emergency audit. Cordelia's lawyer packed up and left, announcing he was withdrawing as counsel. Nathaniel threatened me, nearly took a swing, but Augustus, surprisingly spry, stepped between us. "Don't make this worse, Nathaniel." Chaos reigned. Some residents Googling embezzlement penalties, others calling the attorney general. Later, at the lake, I caught Nathaniel and his workers trying to remove evidence, the jet ski rails. "Those are evidence in a federal investigation," I warned. The workers, realizing their own risk, left him standing there with half-dismantled equipment. That night, someone vandalized my vehicle, slashed tires, sugar in the gas tank. The deputy found Cordelia's watch at the scene. Between that and the video evidence, the sheriff's office started taking things seriously. The next morning, I called the Army Corps of Engineers. Patricia Yamamoto, the inspector, showed up with a team. 43 separate violations, at least $600,000 in fines, and EPA involvement on the way. By then, Cordelia had a breakdown and landed in the hospital. Nathaniel got arrested trying to remove more evidence. The forensic audit revealed they diverted at least $200,000. The HOA was bankrupt. But here's the thing. By the end, the residents rallied. Augustus formed a lake conservation group. We worked with the Army Corps to set up legal access, day passes for families, a modest dock, safety equipment. The old camp buildings became an environmental education center. Sarah, the forensic accountant, recovered $80,000, which went to victim restitution. Cordelia pleaded guilty, 18 months federal prison. Nathaniel got 2 years. The HOA dissolved. The lake, now cleaner than it had been in decades, was open for everyone, legally, safely. A year later, Augustus brought me a clipping from Arizona. Cordelia arrested again, trying to claim ownership of a condo pool. Some people never learn, but the community does. The federal designation is now on signs around the lake. Timber Float Station 7, established 1887, protected forever. The law, real law, not HOA fantasy, prevailed. But I keep those cameras running, just in case. Because you never know who'll try to take what's yours next. And if they do, well, I've got the codes bookmarked and the Army Corps on speed dial. What about you? If an entire HOA tried to take your lake, would you fight back? Tell me what you'd do, because sometimes the wildest stories are the ones you live through yourself.